Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Truth rising up from underneath Wayne Manor in the outskirts of Gotham City, folks. So we talk a lot on this show about the climate collapse that is happening, and usually late summer and fall, we talk about the fires and record temperatures on the West Coast. Well, it's already happening. It's the fires and record temperatures started in June. We're now in July, and hundreds dead throughout the U.S. Pacific Northwest, British Columbia, in a once in a millennium heat wave. This article is from the World Socialist website, which isn't going to sugarcoat it because the capitalists are making, they've, oh boy, the reason we're here is because of capitalism, plundering the earth, fossil fuels, not caring about long-term effects. Just get to the next, the next quarter. So the stock price goes up or whatever. And this is significant. This is really dangerous. And this is why I was so against, and many who watch this show were against somebody like Joe Biden. Obviously, I'm against Trump. He's a horrible climate policy, but Joe Biden's middle ground on climate policy is not enough. It's not enough. And every fire season in California, and I've been saying this the 4.5 years I've been doing the show, every year we break records on, oh, this is now the worst fire. And this year is worse than last year, every year. And now we're getting record temperatures. So temperatures in Portland, Oregon, reaching 116 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday. Seattle, Washington, reaching 108 degrees over the weekend, and 116 in Vancouver, British Columbia. This part of the world never gets this hot. I mean, in this part of the world, the Pacific Northwest, Canada, in the summer, you might get a day that's like 90, and that's like super hot, right? That's what it used to be. But the last 5 years or so, it keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter in this part of the country and of the world that, I mean, the Antarctic is melting. I mean, we're just seeing Siberia. I mean, it's just going on and on. And and the fires have already started in California and Oregon, or they've already started. It's July. That usually the fires, but we had, again, guess what? We had droughts this year. We didn't get enough rainfall. The West Coast, especially like California, gets a lot, even Oregon too, Washington gets a lot of rain in the winter and spring and very little in the summer. So if you don't meet your rainfall like average, if you're well below that, then all of a sudden you're in a drought, and it's like that. So now all of a sudden you've got all this dry timber up and down the coast. Such temperatures are unbearable for human life, as evidenced by the hundreds of people who have so far died. This includes at least 486 sudden and unexpected deaths between Saturday and Wednesday. This is from like a week or so ago when these hot temperatures were happening. 486 people died, but in 4 days. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days. Their extreme recent deadly events have hit Australia, California, and Siberia with deadly wildfires caused by extreme heat. Death Valley, California reached a scorching 127 in June, a record high for that month. So this is already old because 2 days ago or 3 days ago, Death Valley broke this record and hit 130 degrees. Death Valley, California, 130 degrees. It is 4 degrees below the global record of 134. So 127.7 got broken by almost 2.5 degrees just recently, like in the last week. So like you can't even keep up with the news on how bad this is getting. And we're gonna bring Ron Placone on in a second to talk about Biden's dealing with this. But it's just like, oh, there's some new infrastructure bill, and they're going to talk about climate change, but it's all this Band-Aid shit. It's not. It's like this is. Biden's words are also bellied by his aggressive stance toward Russia and China. Climate change is an inherently global problem and requires an international coordinated system, which is impossible under such tensions. This is the thing that is driving me insane. And I want to bring Ron Placone on to talk about this because he follows this a lot. So, Ron, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today from the Get Your News On with Ron podcast. It's Ron Placone. And so there's a lot of issues here in terms of what's happening on the West Coast. You live in California. You're seeing the fires are starting already. God only knows what August, September, and October are going to look like, because we don't get rainfall this time of year. We just don't. So not only do we have that and this constant exacerbation, we're still the Biden White House and the media is still talking how bad, evil Russia and China are. Well, if we're in some war or even just a Cold War, and we keep spending more money on the military budget. Biden increased the budget for ICE. He's spending now more money than Trump did on ICE. This is going to take a coordinated global effort to stop this. And how are we going to do this?
Right. I mean, oddly enough, though, I take a little bit of comfort in that for a few reasons. Let me explain why. But first of all, I saw an article today where scientists were basically coming together and saying how capitalism got us to this point. And they basically summed up our two choices. And you know what? There's a little bit of solace in the fact that we do have choices. And I mean,
for now,
well, we're going to feel some effects no matter what. I'm not saying like, hey, everything's going to be totally fine. Like we're past that point already. But, we still have a choice. And that choice is, in 2050, we might have a great looking GDP. And what's it going to cost? Well, it's going to cost a completely crumbling infrastructure, a decaying society. The coasts are going to be uninhabitable, and we're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Or option B, we're going to have a whole new infrastructure and way of doing things with alternative transportation solutions and sustainable ways of behaving towards the earth. We're still going to have some problems because of the point that we've taken it to thus far. But, the way climate scientist Peter Kalmus describes it, it's like an escalator. And it's like we can control how far we go up. We're still on the escalator no matter what. We're not getting off of it. But we don't have to freaking run up it. So those are the two choices. And if we act now and we act bold, we can be choice B. And choice B is a worldwide effort. Now, the reason I say that gives me a little bit of solace is not because I think Biden will cooperate with the world. He won't. The reason it gives me a little bit of solace is because I think other actors in the world will. I'm not saying the United States is the only bad actor in the world. I know that's not the case. But I will say when it comes to climate change, there are other places that are doing things that give me a little bit more hope. A lot of the countries in the EU, even China. I mean, China is still a major polluter, but they're still making these green efforts in addition. So they're at least, understanding the severity of the moment. So in some ways, I really, because of my just lack of any type of hope in electoralism in the United States and just in the United States in general, I think that some other countries are going to take the lead and the United States will be forced to follow. At least I certainly hope so. I think that if it's up to the United States and solely the United States, we are done for. But fortunately, that's not the case.
Yeah, I totally agree. We should be the world leaders. We could be leading the world on this. We could be leading the world on a Green New Deal, but we're not going to because we have such a corrupt system and the lobbyists control our two corrupt parties and the billionaires control everything. The oligarchs control this. It's a kleptocracy run by oligarchs, basically. So, yeah, and I think you're right, though. I think what's going to happen is other countries are just going to circumvent us, and then we're going to really look. And then even these like right-wing climate change deniers are going to look like idiots because they're holding us back. We should be leading the world in innovation. Name one good category America is leading the world in. I mean, what are we leading the world in? Handgun debt, war. The U.S. military is the #1 polluter in the world, and we keep spending more and more. We could literally, if we cut our military budget in half, we would still spend almost $200 billion more than China, the next closest country.
Yeah. I mean, we're more than the next 13 countries combined.
Yes.
And we could cut it in fractions and still be ahead.
It's insane. And I think it's going to take us being left behind about countries like not doing business with America anymore. Just like we're going to be left behind. We're not the world. People are just like, we don't need the dollar. We don't need the United States. We don't need their bullshit. And we're going to be isolated. And we're going to have to, and our citizen, and when the housing and financial crisis hit, which could happen anywhere in the next 3 to 12 months, it's going to happen.
I think 2 years. I think 2 years it's really going to, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they're going to ride out the denial for another year or so, because you have all these Wall Street, all these Wall Street pawns just buying all this property for cash. And it's going to hit in like 2 years, maybe less, maybe it'll be 1.
Well,
but
whenever it does hit,
my guess.
Yeah, maybe 2, whatever. I mean, somewhere between 3 and 24 months, it's going to happen. And when it does, Americans are going to be left with this harsh reality of how broken the system is, harder than it was hit. You thought you knew how broken America was during COVID. Oh, just wait. Yeah. Just wait when there's 20 million people who are out of their homes overnight or something like that. Then you're going to really see it. So when that happens, I think Americans are going to have to. They're going to have to wake up more. Now, this new infrastructure bill, they claim, when I watch the corporate media, oh, it's got a bunch of money in there for green energy and infrastructure. Does it? I don't know. I haven't seen the particulars of this bill. I have a hard time believing that it actually does. It's probably just like Shell Oil is going to, get some kickbacks to put some, green stickers on their oil tanks or whatever. Like the federal government's going to subsidize some sort of greenwashing nonsense that these big corporations do.
Well, we know it's grossly insufficient. I mean, just the final price tag is just grossly insufficient. And that's, that's pretty much the summary of the Biden administration so far. Is it better than absolutely nothing? Well, in some cases, yeah. In other cases, no, it's worse than nothing. He's given the cops more money. He's still bombing, around the world. He gave ICE more money. So in some cases, things are getting worse and worse. In other cases, yeah, he did some okay things, but nowhere near enough. And if we're sticking to climate change, let's just stay there. Keystone XL, glad it shut down. That's awesome. But he ain't doing anything about Line 3. And I'm glad we're back in the Paris Climate Accord. I'd rather we're in it than not in it. But is that anywhere close to enough? No. And when you give a figure of 2050, we all know what that really is. That's just kicking a can down the road. That is the laziest, just like, screw it, someone else will deal with it. We'll be off gasoline cars by 2050. That's freaking bullshit. We need to be off gasoline cars now, and we need to be completely off of all fossil fuels by 2030. 2050 is not soon. That's too late. We need to do it by 2030. And even that's a little too generous. I mean, I think it should be more like 2025.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that going back to the earlier point, there's already countries like India, which has a huge smog problem because they are late to the Industrial Revolution. So they're still burning coal and all this other stuff the way this country still does as well. But they passed a law. We're not going to sell gas cars after 2035. So the second biggest market in the world has said, you can't sell your gas cars here. So all these companies are like, if we want to start selling, cars to India, which has some people being brought out of poverty and into the middle class, they're going to want cars because they saw that's what happened with China. 20 years ago, when China started building the world's making everything, then all these people got brought out of poverty, and all of a sudden this middle class started in China and a whole new wealthy billionaire class. And I've been to China, and they want to drive American cars. That's a status symbol. Driving a Buick. I saw more Buicks in China than I've ever seen in my life. And so that's going to happen in India. And you're not going to be able, that's why you've got car companies going, oh, we better do something about this. We're going to make the electric Mustang, which Ford has done, and other car companies. They're coming up with a Ford, I think a Ford pickup truck that's all electric. The Jeep Wrangler is now coming out as all electric. And so people are going to just start, companies the companies are just going to go where the money is, and governments could force them to go there. But you're right. And China, they can just say, oh, we're done. And we're going to position away from fossil fuels. Now, where America could be the leader is Russia and China are doing a lot of oil business together. They've just built another pipeline, or about to finish another pipeline between Russia and China. Russia buys a lot of oil China buys a lot of oil from Russia. And this is where America could come in and say, let's not do that collectively. We'll stop our pipelines, we'll stop our drilling, but that hurts the petrodollar, which is again why we've got to demonize China and Russia as these evil bad guys when it's really just about money. And if we keep getting into this stupid fight and demonizing China and Russia and spending more money on nukes and other dumb crap, like the weapons industry should be, with all their research and money and R&D, they should be leading the way. We just went to the weapons industry and said, hey, stop making bombs, find ways to fix the environment. They could pivot quickly.
Oh yeah. Well, same with
all their money.
Same with Wall Street. I mean, same with like if we made it so it's just like, okay, capitalists, you have to make money outside of the fossil fuel industry. I mean, we would have so many alternative solutions like that because they still want to make their nut. And, you know, also you look at these billionaire doofuses just having a measuring contest to see who can get to space first. Oh. First, it was just Bezos and Elon just being like, I have the bigger one. No, I have the bigger one. Then Richard Branson swooped in like, I'm going to get there first. I have the biggest one. And so, and I really think like if someone who has their heir just needs to go up to the three of them and just be like, look, we've decided collectively as a society, whichever one of you does the most for climate change has the biggest dick. Photographic evidence be damned. Whichever one of you, you will be crowned biggest dick on the planet. Just seriously, you can have that accolade. You have the biggest dick the world has ever seen. We know it's just a big measuring contest for you. Please, whichever one of the three of you does the most for climate change, we will crown you biggest dick on the planet. Just do it. Just help. Please.
Well, that's one option. The other one is blow the first one out of the sky, and then the other two will stop wanting to fly it. There's that. That's where I go, but maybe yours is a nicer version. But like,
I say kill them with kindness, Graham. Give them an accolade.
I say drone strike a billionaire for America. But, you know, it's whatever. Apples and oranges, Rob. We don't need to split hairs on this. But anyway, the point of the matter is, yeah, I love that these fucking assholes and Jeff Bezos, like, for $23 million, some rich dick can circle the planet. Yes, circle the planet. That literally the oceans are on fire. Like a week ago, the Gulf of Mexico was on fire. And we're going to just let rich shitbirds fly around in their fucking Rolls Royce rocket ships. Eat it, man. So yeah, I think the other thing too is and I say this because this is why I always say on my show, vote with your dollars, because when you buy some of these green products or whatever, or even invest in, move your investments into a green investment, Wall Street will go there if there's money there. Wall Street is like, oh, there's money in green tech. There's money.
They're already starting to.
Right.
And it's not because of any moral obligation. It's just because they know that fossil fuels are going away, which is encouraging in some ways, because it's like, okay, well, the predators are recognizing that they can't be predators here anymore. But, again, it's certainly not quick enough.
No. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for all of Americans to rise up on this. Like literally, because we've done a version of this story every year, every summer. It keeps getting worse and worse. What's happens like when Los Angeles burns to the ground, is that when we'll go, oh, wow. My prediction is when they have to cancel the Super Bowl because of climate change, then people will go, man.
That's what people care. They'll be like, no, can you at least just show the commercials? Just show the commercials. We'll have friends over, please. This is
we bought all these taquitos.
Can you just give a big truck to 22 millionaires anyway? Please. This is what we celebrate. We need to see rich people get a truck for no fucking reason. That's my fetish.
A nacho snack helmet, and you're telling us there's no game? What am I supposed to do with a nacho snack helmet? Like,
I have 2 beer straws going into my mouth and no game. And I'm drinking this shitty piss water domestic beer because I have no creativity. I never bothered seeing what else is available in my community, so I'm drinking Coors again. America is the greatest country on earth, even though I don't bother celebrating the stuff in my own backyard. I have never been to a farmer's market. Give me my Super Bowl Coors Light.
That's the new Super Bowl slogan. I think you just wrote it. I've never been to a farmer's market. Give me my Super Bowl Coors Light. Yeah,
I'll submit it when they're accepting commercials. You know how they do that? They like let people submit their own commercials.
Right.
I'll do that one.
Mine will just be bacon wrap truck steak for the NFL.
Oh, that'd be so funny if we just submitted bullshit commercials to them.
Just mocking their whole enterprise. That's all we did.
Then it'd be so great if there was like some intern who was like a fan of the shows and was like, oh yeah, Ron and Graham are messing with the machine, and they like submit us to the finals and then quit the next day. And then they're like, all right, these guys won. Let's see. They're comedians. This should be funny. And then like on the Super Bowl, they just like, I don't enjoy this stuff. The people all around, they're like, I feel like he's talking about us. Maybe we need to rethink our lives.
Oh, that would be a glorious day, Ron Placone. Well,
I'm going to go try a local IPA. I'm throwing this Coors Light away.
I'm buying produce from my local farmers. This is amazing. And it's not wrapped in bacon. Like, this is fantastic. Ron Placone, where can people see you and I at a local comedy club in September and October?
Oh, so many places, Graham. They can see us in San Francisco. They can see us in Sacramento. They can see us in Los Angeles, Tucson, Tempe, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly, New York City, Washington, D.C., Asheville, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Gainesville, Orlando, Miami, Tampa, Atlanta. Tickets are going to be available soon. Hold tight. We're getting tickets for Atlanta soon. Nashville, Louisville, Indianapolis, Chicago, Minneapolis, Madison. There's a quiz later. Go to ronplacone.com for tickets. We just announced a fuck ton of tour dates. And grahamelwood.com for tickets.
Check that out. Hey, everybody, it's Graham Elwood. We are going on the road, Ron Placone and I, in September and October. Check grahamelwood.com for tour dates, probably coming to a city near you. A lot of these shows have sold out in the past. We haven't been on the road in a year and a half because of the pandemic. Come out and join us. The post-pandemic comedy tour. Go to grahamelwood.com for tickets. New cities being announced every day. Join us and support what we do at patreon.com/GrahamElwood and rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Blockchain cryptocurrency platform. Thank you. You're making Gotham great again. Boom.